cheese.
And welcome back to That's Some Cheese, part of the Vendetta Sports Podcast Network. Today is Monday, March 18th. We're going to do a little special bracket reaction podcast. Brackets just came out about 2 hours ago. So I have Jacob McCormick on the line. We're going to discuss initial reactions, go over some upset picks, Final Four picks. So let's introduce Jacob. How are we doing, Jacob? What's going on?
Good. Just this is one of my favorite times of the year. I love watching I always make sure if I can, I'm sitting down watching the bracket reveal on CBS. So
I watched it live. I have all the other shows recorded that I want to watch for it.
Yeah.
I go through all the matchups, look at the lines. I get nuts over it.
Yeah. The good part about today's media landscape and online content is that within an hour, even less than an hour, there's multiple articles and stuff for us to read on breakdowns and gambling lines and stuff like that. So, instead of having to wait till Monday morning to hear it all. So,
all right. So I think the best thing we should do, let's just go over each quadrant, starting with the East bracket, top left corner. Do you see anything that stands out to you? Anything?
East, something besides my hometown, Mississippi State Bulldogs, my alumni getting Liberty in the 5-12. The thing that most stood out to me, Duke being the number one overall seed, took me a little bit by surprise. There's no reason to really go too much into that. I just didn't think they'd be the number one overall. But I guess with them kind of convincingly running through that conference tournament, and then Virginia and North Carolina losing in the semifinals, that probably propelled them to the first one. But the main thing that I see is something I wanted to point out is Belmont being in that play-in game for the 11 seed against Temple. Belmont was one of those out-of-conference, small non-power six or whatever they call it in basketball conference teams that lost in their championship game to I think it was Lipscomb. And really had a really good season. People thought they may have an outside shot, and they're in the play-in game, but they had 2 quad one wins. Pretty good season by them. I think it's going to be fun to see them get a chance at the tournament, even though they lost in their conference championship.
So you went to a place that I was going to talk about with my initial reaction.
Mm-hmm.
I think all hell breaks loose in that little area where you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Every single year since they started that first 4 games, an 11 seed has won.
Yeah.
I think Belmont's going to be my pick here to beat Temple and then beat Maryland. And then I also like Yale to beat LSU.
Yeah.
I think LSU's a mess. LSU's a total mess right now. Losing their coach. They're all over the place. I don't know. Those white scrappy teams, like one of those white scrappy teams every year wins.
Yeah.
I think all hell breaks loose right there.
No, I definitely can see that. That's going to be a popular upset pick. I actually texted a couple of friends yesterday, or it was maybe Friday when LSU lost, and I said, they're in a lot of turmoil right now. Their player, Javonte Smart, did come back to play. I think he's going to play for the tournament. I do think it's going to be very popular to pick Yale to upset LSU, and a lot of people in their brackets. If you're looking at this from trying to win your office pool type deal, and trying to, maybe win some money in sports gambling, I think Yale over LSU is going to be a very popular pick. But, LSU is fully healthy. They do have the coaching problem, but if they can put that past them, they could definitely beat a Yale team and then beat, maybe an upset in the Belmont team. They could find themselves in the Sweet 16 out of nowhere, kind of, even though they're a 3 seed, kind of almost as underdogs. So, maybe if you're trying to do a little strategy, trying to win your office pool, maybe pick LSU to win that game because that is going to be the most popular upset pick.
My favorite game of this region, Louisville versus Rick Pitino.
I know.
Oh, my God. They can't make that up.
Yeah, surely he's not going to be there, right?
I have no idea.
That would be crazy.
That they have Richard Pitino against Louisville.
I know that Panathinaikos or who Pitino is coaching right now is in the playoffs of some sort over there. So I wonder, I don't know if they'll be off for traveling or what, but it would be very interesting if he showed up and sat behind the bench or something, or in the sweet box.
All right. In your East bracket, who do you have Final Four?
Final Four, I'm going to take Duke. Now that Zion's back healthy, I don't think anybody's really going to challenge them until the Final Four, probably.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Duke, too. I feel like that one's pretty
too easy. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say is they do struggle shooting the ball. They did yesterday against Florida State as well. So if there's 3-point shooting is rocky, they are primed for an upset. But I just think their top end talent is way too good.
But that's the thing with Duke. They went 1 of 14 from 3-point range, and they still won by like 12.
Exactly. So it's like that's the only thing to say against a very good Florida State team. So it's like, it's tough to pick anybody against them, to be honest with you.
All right, let's go to the West region. Any initial reactions out of that one? Bottom left corner.
Yeah, the Gonzaga region. So they held on to a 1 seed even though they lost to St. Mary's in the SWAC, or no, it's not the SWAC. It's the whatever. We won't go into that. They lost to St. Mary's in their conference semis. Things that, the market, we talked about that briefly. The Marcus Howard, Ja Morant game in the 5-12 Marquette Murray State. That one sticks out from a pro prospect, up and down type game. Both of those teams are going to be playing pretty fast probably. Other than that, that Michigan-Nevada round 2 game with Michigan as a 2 seed, Nevada as a 7, who highly ranked all year, made the tournament run last year, kind of the darlings and everything. Dropped a couple of midseason games and then dropped a game in the conference tourney. Like that could be an interesting 7-2 matchup with two teams that went very deep in the tournament last year.
I'm going to go with – I hate this one. I love Florida State. I think they're a Final Four team, but I really hate where they were placed. I really do. I hate that they're in the Gonzaga region. I hate that they have a Murray State sort of upset pick there.
Yeah.
I think Vermont – I don't know. Vermont's kind of scary. That was the same conference that UMBC came out of, and they beat UMBC to go to this.
Yeah.
Just very scary. I'm nervous about that one, and I really like Florida State.
Yeah, they're a fun team to watch, and they have the talent and the skill set. They're almost like the Bucks, they're so long and very athletic. Everybody seems to shoot. Based off somebody who hasn't watched their team all season, I don't want to step out of my shoes here, but they do seem like a team that could make a run based on just there being so much athleticism, and they're Leonard Hamilton's a really good coach. So
what I loved out of them is their leading scorer comes off the bench. They go
that's crazy.
They go 9 deep, and they're crazy athletic, long. This Cabangeli guy, I was watching him yesterday, comes off the bench and he strokes it. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're good.
No, they're really good. And even though you say it's the tough draw for them, that Marquette Murray State game, I on the beginning, back when Murray State clinched a couple of days ago, I was thinking, Murray State's also going to be a popular upset pick, and I was interested to see who they played because I think, they're singularly talented. They are a good team, but they really just have a one star. And I think they can beat Marquette. I was looking for them to get matched up with somebody a little bit better, and I was going to, take them as losing in the first round. But against Marquette, I feel like they're similarly, one trick pony with Marcus Howard. So, I could see them beating Murray State in the second round, though. Florida State could definitely do that. I definitely think if Florida State makes it to that second round game versus Murray State or Marquette, I think they can easily get past them.
Who do you like as an upset? Any upset picks jumping out at you?
One that does jump out, I will say, first off, the first round upset that jumps out is probably maybe that I guess I would probably say Murray State, maybe, but what the real upset that I'm looking at is in the second round, Gonzaga versus Syracuse. If Syracuse makes it past Baylor, which I assume they will, Syracuse is notorious for being a problem in these tournaments, regardless of whatever seed they're in. Sometimes it's even better that they're a lower seed because they get a different route, but they do have to play a 1 seed in the second round, obviously, if Gonzaga wins. And I think that could pose some problems just because their zone defense is so good and their players have been there. They were there last year. They made a run. So I think that could be a trouble for Gonzaga.
This is the bracket I'm having the most problems with right now.
Yeah.
I can't pick anything right now.
I mean, Texas Tech is there too. They're good.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah. It's a good bracket. This is a good, that's a good, really good set of teams there.
You have an initial Final Four pick?
Final Four, I would probably go with Texas Tech or Michigan. Whoever comes out of that bottom half of the bracket with Tech and Michigan would be set to meet up in the Elite Eight. In the Sweet 16, I think. Yeah, in the Sweet 16. So whoever wins that matchup and then would play the winner of the Gonzaga half, I think they would in turn beat that half and go to the Final Four.
I'm going to go with Florida State for now.
I like it.
Back to Gonzaga just because I want to see them and Duke again. That Gonzaga actually beat them early in the year. I would love to see that rematch.
I'd like to see a Texas Tech, Florida State Elite Eight in that bracket. So kind of a 3-4 basically bracket. So you have some upsets obviously in there, but then you're not just kind of chalk. So I think there's a good likelihood we get a Florida State, Michigan, or a Florida State, Texas Tech final Elite Eight.
All right, and halfway through the bracket. Again, thank you for listening to That's Some Cheese, part of the Vendetta Sports Podcast Network. Check out our new YouTube channel. I'll post a link below in the article or however you're listening. Our YouTube channel, Vendetta Media. We're going to have this podcast will be on there. Some NBA short episodes will be in there, so make sure to go subscribe to that. Visit the website, vendettasportsmedia.com, and also give Jacob a follow on Twitter at @JacobMcCormick_. All right, we're halfway through the bracket. Let's go to the South, the upper right corner. Any initial reactions to that one?
Yeah, so the other Mississippi school, Ole Miss, getting the first-round matchup with Oklahoma. I think that's a game they can win, and it'd be an interesting Ole Miss versus Virginia matchup there. A lot of Ole Miss and Mississippi State, both those teams hadn't made the tournament in a long time. Could see some real good energy out of those teams. Other than that, Villanova being a 6th seed was kind of surprising to me. I thought they'd be a little bit higher, but they did drop a few games early in the season. But I think they're going to be really solid in a team that I would probably pick maybe even to go to the Sweet 16. But then Tennessee is the biggest thing, getting a 2 seed in that region. Look to be that maybe they get a 1 seed coming into the day, but I think they can really wreak some havoc if they can kind of put it all together with what they have in their arsenal. So.
My initial reaction is I don't like this bracket either because I think Virginia always sucks. They just always lose. Yeah. Always lose, and I don't like any of the teams that they're playing against.
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah, I mean, it can be a boring game, and they're a little bit higher of a scoring team this year. So at least there's been some, they're more electric this year, I would say. But you're right. I mean, a lot of times they'll turn a good team into just mush. And then really take them to town. So they may not have much of a challenge till the Elite Eight here.
But I hate picking Virginia. I pick against them every single year. Every single year, they always lose. But I'm going to be forced to pick like Ole Miss against them, and I know I'm going to get it wrong. That's what's going to end up happening. Right.
I know I have a bunch of buddies, Ole Miss fans, that would love to see that second round upset. But I think, for trying to win a bracket, even though you don't have a lot of confidence in Virginia, I think what you can look at is that they have their best pro prospect on the team this year, and that's DeAndre Hunter. He's going to be a top 10 pick, maybe top 5, depending on how things fall. So he was supposed to be there last year. They wouldn't have lost to UMBC if he was there. So I think to give you a little bit of a rest easy bit of info. I think with Hunter, I think Virginia is a pretty solid, second weekend team at least, at very minimum. So,
do we have any first round upsets in this bracket, South?
I've heard some good things about UC Irvine. I've yet to do too much research on them. But 30-5, they're a 13 seed playing Kansas State, a 4. Kansas State won the Big 12. They did lose earlier in the conference tournament, but they have a really good had a really good season so far. But I guess that would be the only one without doing a lot of research that I would probably go with, because I really don't. I really think Villanova is going to beat St. Mary's in the 6-11 matchup. So
I'm really behind here, but I don't know. Watch out for Cincinnati. They feel dangerous. Yeah. Mick Cronin kind of blew up.
Yeah.
Going to hold tryouts. They ran out there and won the conference tournament. Yep. And then they're playing in Ohio throughout this region.
Good point.
So I don't know. I feel like they're a dangerous team that could go pretty far.
Right. I mean, that's going to be a fun second round against them versus Tennessee if they both make it there. I don't think they struggle with Iowa, with Cincinnati. I don't think they do. But them and Tennessee, that would be a really fun matchup. And I could definitely see Cincinnati making it past them if Tennessee doesn't, if their shots don't fall.
You have a Final Four pick for the South?
I would probably stick with Virginia. I actually do think Virginia is going to make it happen this year. I don't feel super confident about it, but I probably will have. I make probably 10 brackets a year just because I'm a nerd about it. I'll probably have Tennessee in the Final Four and the other ones. So those are obviously chalk, but I don't really see a lot of upset runs here as long as the top seeds take care of business in the first weekend.
I have Tennessee for now. I might change it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love that Schofield guy. And they lost last year in the first round. They lost in the conference tournament. I feel like sometimes that's a good thing, almost a blessing in disguise.
Yep.
Get the guys reared up. You don't want to be sleepwalking thinking like, we just won the conference tournament. We can beat up anybody.
Right.
They lost in the first round last year. Might have something to prove. I don't know. I like them so far.
Yeah, they're a very strong team. Got some pro talent on there too. So,
all right, let's go to last region, Midwest, the bottom right corner. Anything jumping out to you there to start out with?
Obviously the third ACC 1 seed that we've talked about. So that's noteworthy, I guess. I mean, think it's deserving, but still 3 from one conference is pretty crazy to see. Auburn making it to a 5 seed, which is probably a lot higher than they were projected even on Friday. Running through the SEC tournament, they're fully healthy. Bruce Pearl causes problems. I would say the biggest thing that stands out to me is them getting in that 5-12 game with they don't have an easy path, but they are playing very well. And they were a team that took Duke to the end at the beginning of the season with a fully healthy Zion. So, they're a team to watch for me.
I don't have anything yet, but I need to do more research on this team. But Wofford has that who was the Sister Jean team last year?
Loyola, Chicago.
Yeah, Loyola. They have a Loyola feel to them. I don't know why.
They're really good. They have the best shooter ever in the NCAA. So Fletcher McGee or something like that. He just he shoots a bunch of threes.
I know nothing about them, but Wofford being a 7 seed, that doesn't normally happen.
No, they're definitely worthy of that. Seton Hall's hot though. They made a little bit of run in the Big East tournament, so gonna be a good matchup though. I did hear some guys just right off the bat in the CBS breakdown show saying that they thought it was a tough draw for Wofford, who definitely deserved to be as high as a 7. But yeah, I mean they're a fun team. They'll be a popular pick.
First round upsets here.
Would probably have to stick. I guess I would probably pick Seton Hall over Wofford as if we're just looking at seeds, not necessarily that a team is better than another one. But as far as a 10 seed over a 7 seed, I could see that one. And possibly a lot of people are high on Northeastern, and Kansas is obviously down this year. They're not a bad team. We saw them make a run to the Big 12 tournament championship, but I could see they're notorious for losing in the first weekend. We all know that. And, them being a 4 seed, they'll be playing their best opening round game best team in an opening round game in a while. So I could definitely see it happening.
I feel like Auburn might lose. I don't know why, but New Mexico State, they've won a lot of games, right? They have 30 some wins already.
30-4, but that may not count their conference tournament. I don't know if that's the final record. It's what I was looking at on ESPN.
I don't know. Auburn seems like that team that got hot at the wrong time, playing way too many tough SEC games. Maybe they get off to a slow start. I don't know. That one seems right.
Yeah. No, I mean, they're definitely New Mexico State. A lot of people are high on them. I just, from watching Auburn a little bit this weekend, it may sway me a little bit. I'm going to see some more experts and some of the bettors and what they're on, because I'll be betting on most of these games. But from a pick'em standpoint, yeah, I could definitely see New Mexico State. I mean, it's the 5-12, so that one or two of them are going to happen.
All right, who do we got? Final Four picks.
For this region, I think you're going to see chalk North Carolina, Kentucky in the Elite Eight. Some people like Houston. I just don't, especially with them losing today. Like, I think both North Carolina and Kentucky are going to represent the Midwest there, and I think North Carolina is going to win. I think they're going to be in the Final Four. They're really, really good. Kobe White and Cam Johnson, they're studs.
I filled this one out really fast. And I don't know how I got to this conclusion, but I have Iowa State in there. I think I'm going to end up changing that. I don't know.
They played good.
I thought they looked good in the Big 12 tournament.
They won the Big 12, yeah.
They did, but I don't know. Probably North Carolina, but I don't know.
They beat Kansas and Kansas State twice this year. Iowa State did. So
it's like that sleeper team that might win you bracket.
Yeah, I mean, that 6-7 or 5-6-7. There's always those teams. I mean, I think it was maybe Kansas State last year. They were like an 8 or a 9 seed, but they ended up making it to the Final Four because they were in that Virginia bracket. So they played UMBC the second round. So that was a huge plus for them. So that's the thing, is you see a lot of these first game upsets and Thursday, Friday upsets, and it ends up being such a much easier path for a team in the second round to make it to the Sweet 16. So they could definitely do it.
All right, Jacob, one last thing. Who's your national championship game, and who is the champ?
So I'm going to go with Duke versus I mean, it's tough because it's going to be a rematch. I think it would be it wouldn't be anticlimactic if it was like Duke UNC round 4 or Duke UVA round 3. But I think that's the likelihood, is that we see Duke versus one of the other ACC opponents. So I'm going to leave it up to that. I'm just going to say Duke UNC just because I think both those teams are, amazing. And it would be really tough to see either one of them lose before the championship game. Besides, they're solid Final Four teams, so I think it's a pretty good bet to take them in the championship, and with Duke winning.
Yeah, I wrote down Duke, Tennessee, but I don't know. I'm all over.
Hey, you gotta take it. You gotta see. I mean, there's just like Duke and UNC to me are the two, like, from what I've watched this season, and obviously I haven't watched it as closely as I watched the NBA, but both those teams I've seen them play multiple games, and as long as Zion's healthy, Duke is very deep and very high in pro talent, as well as UNC. They have multiple draft picks, multiple first rounders on that team, probably 3 first rounders on that team, and they're just they have so many playmakers that it's going to be tough for these teams like that have one star, or like a Murray State who has one player, or even a Virginia who has just one star. They're a really good team, but they have one star. It's going to be tough for them to outlast them all through the tournament. So
all I know is I'm picking Duke. The rest is up for editing.
Definitely, yeah, that's the only constant. So I'm sure it won't be that way at all. It'll be a crazy one, but there's top end, and then there's like a bunch of mediocre teams, is what I've heard. So I think it's going to be more of a higher seed frequency. You're going to see a lot more higher seeds in the Elite Eight Final Four this year than you did last. So,
all right, Jacob, we'll close it out there. Some initial reactions on the 2019 NCAA Tournament. Thank you for listening to That's Some Cheese, part of the Vendetta Sports Podcast Network. Go to the website, vendettasportsmedia.com. Again, check out the YouTube channel that's brand new, Vendetta Media. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.